Everyone, welcome back for episode 11 of the Simply Wellness podcast. I'm your host, Colin, and I'm joined here by my co-host, Chris.
How we doing, everybody?
We're just a couple of best friends who are passionate about all things pop culture. If you're looking for lukewarm takes on movies, video games, or TV shows, we've got the show for you. And This week, our show's going to be a little bit different from stuff that we've done prior, because we're going to try and make a big focus on video games.
Yeah.
We've gotten a little bit of that feedback that we should, we say video games up top, we should probably, back that up. So we're going to talk all about some of, not necessarily the best, but some of our favorite post-apocalyptic games. We aren't really doing like a ranking or a review, just brief discussion of each game and moving forward, because we've got quite a bit each, I think, so we don't want to get bogged down. As we saw with episode 10.5, we get pretty breathy pretty quick.
Right.
But which, by the way, I wanted to point out, we got quite a bit of engagement pretty quick on that 10.5, so, I appreciate you guys listening. And let us know if, we can try and figure out a different recording schedule if, a weekend release works better for people. Because we got quite a bit of engagement pretty quick on that, so that was good to see that people were interested in that. Just give us some of that feedback. Before we get into, talking about our games, we need to talk about some casting news for Dune Part 2.
Okay.
The fact that Avatar: The Way of Water, its trailer generated like a ton of interest.
That's right.
There were some leaked images from a potential Silent Hill reboot.
Oh, no, Deadass?
Deadass, yeah.
Oh, shit.
We got a couple pieces of news, very different pieces of news about the Jedi Fallen Order. And Bethesda announced a couple of gaming delays, so...
well...
Yeah,
Bethesda...
It's a downer, but you gotta talk about it.
I've played Fallout 76, on the topic of Bethesda.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, but, I
feel
like after you... Yeah, it's like I explored the entire map, now what?
Yeah. And it also, I don't know. It's not in my list. I don't know if it's in your list.
We'll talk about it.
All right. Yeah. So yeah, we'll save that. But no, if you're ready, we'll jump into it.
Oh yeah, jump! I'm already in.
Into our
the
list.
Water's warm.
The water's fine. All right. So yeah, we'll start at the top here. Dune Part 2 has cast its Emperor Shaddam IV.
Okay.
Christopher Walken is going to be the Emperor.
Oh my God! Yes. Yeah.
And honestly, I'm like, at first I was like, I don't know how I feel about that, because Walken's very much like almost an impersonation of himself at this point.
Yeah.
But I've seen him in roles that were like pretty serious roles, and he does a very good job.
Yeah.
So I do have a lot of faith in him. My first thought is like, well, you see,
Yeah.
I run the known universe. And you're like, I don't know.
Be loud with your thoughts, not your skirts.
But no, he's actually when you think about it, he's just the newest star to an already really packed cast, which includes other newcomers like Florence Pugh and Austin Butler, who's playing Elvis, which is looking to be a big thing. I didn't put it in the news, but apparently Priscilla Presley got to see the Elvis movie, and she was like over the moon about it.
Dang. I was telling you, every time I see each trailer, yeah.
So as well as you got your returning cast members, Timothy Chalamet, Zendaya, Javier Bardem, and several others. So it should be shooting this summer in Budapest. And when you think about it, like Part 1 grossed like $400 million at the box office, which was relatively small for its budget. But it was also a part of Warner Brothers' weird like streaming day and date strategy of release that they did to try and combat the pandemic, where the same day it releases, it's also available on streaming. And so I really think that did impact the box office, obviously, because it also, I'm sure, was a movie that some people were torn on whether they wanted to go see it or not, so they just saw it on streaming.
But also, I feel like, because that was during a heavier part of the pandemic, they kind of came in clutch and were like, nah, this is for the people. Give them something to watch.
Right.
I'm mad respect for it, though.
It did get 10 Academy Award nominations, so it's very possible that like word of mouth would lead to the sequel seeing a much larger return than obviously the first one did.
Yeah, for sure.
But we've got to get you to see Dune because it is very good.
I know.
Now you've got all these cast members coming in that you are a fan of. You've got to see them.
No. Yeah,
You've got Mr. Walken, and you love Walken.
Just get overly upset about it.
Motherfucker! I just hear you slamming on your desk. Like, guy, you gotta chill out.
Yeah. I'm checking my pulse.
Yeah. Your Apple Watch is like, see medical attention.
Yeah.
Your heart's freaking out. Like, yeah, you got to calm down. But no, I'm excited to see that. Honestly, I was going to go see Dune Part 2 anyhow. But now that you've got people like Florence Pugh and Christopher Walken in it, I'm like, damn, I got to see this shit.
It sounds gas.
Plus, I'm excited about the fact that this is, like, I think the first sequel, really, that Denis Villeneuve, the writer-director, has gotten. Because his whole strategy seems to be make a banger of a sci-fi movie that nobody sees, and then get another original property.
Yeah.
Where, like, he did a sort of a sequel to Blade Runner with Blade Runner 2049. It was a banger. Nobody saw it. And then he did fucking Arrival, which was a banger, and not very many people saw it all. Yeah, he does all kinds of them like that. It's like, dude, he does a good job. I'm glad that they're giving him a sequel on this one.
Arrival was really, really good.
Yes, that was a really good movie. So let's see. Avatar, we're in your neck of the woods here, bub.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. Oh,
so Avatar.
You have no idea how up I am.
You have no idea how up I am. You don't even want to know how up I am. So, Avatar: The Way of Water amassed 148.6 million views on its trailer in its first day.
Damn!
With 23 million of those coming only from China.
Oh wow!
So those numbers put it ahead of all of the recent Star Wars films, including The Rise of Skywalker, as far as day one views. Which, I mean, yeah, The Rise of Skywalker was kind of a stinker, but it makes sense that they would use that as a benchmark because it's like the final Star Wars movie, right? So you would think people would be, flat, but no. And the fact that they've got 23 million views from China is kind of a big deal because Disney's kind of been up in the air right now as far as whether they are going to still have a Chinese market or not, because quite a few of their films have just been not cleared for release there. So the fact that there's apparently a fair bit of interest in the Avatar property from China gives them quite a bit of hope, I'm sure, that they're like, oh shit, we're going to make so much money,
Yeah, I mean, if everyone can see it everywhere, that'd be nice.
And the other thing to think about is those numbers don't include the people that are seeing it on the big screen ahead of Doctor Strange 2, which just passed $700 million worldwide after its second weekend. So people are seeing that movie, and it's in front of that movie, that trailer is. So you've got a lot of people seeing it there as well as online. So obviously it's getting out there, and I think that's a good strategy to try and remind people of like what at this point 13-year-old film, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, don't forget, here's Avatar. And so I mean, obviously there is a lot of interest there if that many people are watching it. So I'm willing to admit that I seem to be in the minority as someone who's pretty neutral about the movie overall, even though I'm obviously still going to see it.
Well, I'm going to see it with or without you, so.
Well, I'll be there, baby. Hey!
Yeah, don't you fret.
Don't you cast me out like that. I'm not a leper. But no, I did. I just thought, I was like, damn, fuck. Like, because, I don't hear very many people go, you know what's gas? Avatar. But then the fact that like 148 million people were like, oh, word? And looked at it. I'm like, damn, all right, well.
It is gas.
Be impressed, So, moving into some gaming news here. Dusk Golem, a very well-known leaker in the gaming world, who's had pretty reliable leaks in the past, especially when it comes to Japanese horror games, the Resident Evil franchise. He posted 4 images to Twitter that appear to be official art from a new Silent Hill project in development at Konami.
I'll have to see those pictures. You'll have to send them to me.
So, well, that's the thing, is just to add a little bit more, what do you call it? I guess, legitimacy to the leaks. They were very quickly removed as a copyright issue.
Damn.
So that's honestly, like I said, lends a little bit of credence to the idea that, these are legitimate if Konami's like, shit, get that down,
Yeah.
But it's bizarre because, the last time we heard from Silent Hill was in 2014. There was like this weird demo just put on the PlayStation Store called PT.
Yeah, I remember that. And holy shit.
I played through that with like a group of friends and we're all enthralled with it. And the whole thing was that when you beat the trailer or beat that demo, you're presented with a teaser trailer for this new Silent Hill game called Silent Hills. And it starred Norman Reedus, and it was being developed by Hideo Kojima, who made the Metal Gear Solid franchise. And it was in conjunction with Guillermo del Toro, who's a big horror guy, right? And so I'm sitting there like, oh, fuck! Just losing my shit. And then it got canceled like really soon, like months later. And Kojima left Konami, and the demo was straight up removed from the PlayStation Store. So it was like, well, there goes that, And I was pretty mega bummed about that. But now you've got this leak coming out, and his tweet actually read, "Silent Hill leak. There's a lot I'm not sharing for now. This is from a relatively new source for me, but I have been given more than enough private proof to believe them. I also will mention the names Anita and Maya, SMS messages, and this is not the only SH game in development." So I'm not sure if Anita and Maya is like a way of like people that know be like, oh shit, yeah, this is legit. But yeah, so that's kind of exciting that. And again, like I said, the fact that Konami was real quick to copyright strike it and take the images down.
Yeah. That's what sells it for me.
Also, fuck Konami though, because it's like, dude, how are you going to take that away from us? And Hideo Kojima, who was really excited about the project as well, and then almost 10 years later, be like, damn, maybe we should have left that one up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because now the problem that they're going to run into is people are going to compare it to what could have been, right? Where they're like, yeah, but you had Kojima and Norman Reedus and Guillermo del Toro, and this isn't any of those things.
Yeah.
So I think that's something they're going to run up against is people comparing it and going, this still isn't what we were promised and then lost, right?
Yeah. I understand that aspect for sure, but I mean, I don't know if I would still really want to play it.
Oh yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I love the Silent Hill games. I just love that era of like a survival horror game. Mm-hmm. Resident Evil. There was one called Dino Crisis that was made by Capcom, which is basically Resident Evil but with dinosaurs. And then Silent Hill, obviously. Silent Hill 2 is one of my all-time favorite PlayStation 2 games. And so I'd be really excited to see what they do with this. If it is legitimate, which it does seem to be. This is probably the most like rumory stuff that we'll cover this week. However, we do have a little bit more like drama mama in the next one here. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was in the news actually a couple of times this week with a title for the sequel being leaked called Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Yes.
So that's pretty dope.
Yeah. We talked about that last episode, though, didn't we?
I don't think so.
I thought I heard the Survivor somewhere.
You might have seen it online, but yeah, I don't believe I talked about it last week. If I did, I mean, shit, I covered it twice, but it looked like it was more recent than last week. However, the larger news was from a former Respawn developer who was on Twitter talking about the fact that she worked on the first game, and she claimed that they being some of the dev team, wanted to have the protagonist be black and or female before those requests were pretty quickly shut down by Respawn higher-ups. And apparently the main reason provided was that they weren't going to go that route was because the films already had Rey as a female lead and the game already had two prominent black actors. And apparently IGN reached out to Respawn Entertainment for comment and didn't get any response. And then the prior developer who was on Twitter talking about it declined to comment as well. So it's a little bit of a bad time to be like, yeah, pass. You know what this world needs? A white guy.
Like, what's the big hubbub? They're like, listen, they already got him. Like, we
right, yeah, exactly. That's not a great defense.
Is it a big deal?
Yeah, I mean, no shade at like Cal Kestis because he's a good character.
No,
but
yeah,
also,
for sure.
They had the opportunity to create any character, right? It's a totally wholly original character, and they saw an opportunity to make a female Jedi or a black Jedi, which both exist, right? It's not like they're upsetting the status quo or anything like that with doing that. And so it's just really odd that the developer team was like, I just don't see it happening. Sorry, guys, we already gave them their two characters. You know what I mean? Like it's just
get a giggle that they really, there are probably people that think, there are no such thing as women Jedi or black Jedi, and it's just like, so you're gonna sit here and tell me that a whole other species, a whole different race, like an alien race,
literally a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away,
right? And they gotta cut it off, with black humans. It's like
because a black woman, but I'm a white guy. I can't play as a black woman. How am I supposed to see myself in her?
That's so fucking dumb.
But it happens all the time, and so
the racism's killing me.
Yeah, but no, I did think that was worth mentioning. That obviously there is still quite a bit of that in the gaming world. It happens, unfortunately, quite frequently. That they, in an attempt to appeal to a large audience, they pretty much stick with the most cookie cutter white guy they can.
Yeah.
But it is changing. But yeah, I just thought for a big game that was really successful, it is odd to see something like that.
I just don't see why it's a big deal if the character is black and or a woman. Like, it shouldn't fucking matter. Anyways, moving. I'm getting boiled up.
Yeah, it'll get you mad. And then and you know what? Call us SJW cucks, whatever you want to call us. We just think people are people. How dare we?
I'm triggered.
So no, Bethesda announced this week that they were going to have to delay 2 of their major releases for 2022 until, quote, the first half of 2023, which is super vague to go from a set release date, like Starfield had, I believe, 11/23/2022 set as its release date, and now they're just like, I don't know, sometime before July. Oh my fuck. Yeah, so Redfall was being developed by Arcane Studios, which are the people who made the Dishonored franchise.
Yeah.
And it's being credited as like an open world co-op FPS. And all we've seen is a trailer that closed out the Bethesda showcase at E3 last year. And it kind of drew comparisons to Left 4 Dead with vampires, basically. Mm-hmm. Which I'm not against. I'm like, yeah, okay, that sounds interesting.
Sure.
I enjoy the Left 4 Dead games, and, vampires. We see a lot of zombies, we don't see a lot of vampires. So, give me something different,
sure,
right?
Yeah, mix it up.
Then,
stir the pot.
And then Starfield is actually the first original IP from Bethesda Game Studios, who developed Elder Scrolls and the Fallout franchise.
Yeah.
Because they acquired both of those games. And so this will be the first one that they wholly invented themselves, right?
Yeah.
And Bethesda made the announcement via Twitter and gave no reason for the delay other than that both teams want to ensure that they deliver the fans a polished product. And apparently both teams have really incredible ambitions for the games, which is probably leading to trying to avoid crunch and things like that. And they also stated that they can't wait to share their first deep dive into the gameplay for both games, quote, soon. So I don't know how soon is.
See, my whole thing about that is like Fallout 76, it's a good game, but it did kind of flop as soon as it came out.
Definitely.
And then you have stuff like No Man's Sky where it flopped really hard when it came out, and then now it's a really good game, and they keep giving it good updates and everything like that.
Yeah, free updates.
And then same thing with Cyberpunk, really, just not finished. So a part of me, sits back and goes, well, if that's the reason why they're doing it, then I'll hold out hope, and I'll be like, okay, well, I can't get that upset about it. But then another part's like, you should have delegated your time better.
Right, and also, like, a delay doesn't mean it'll be better when it releases.
Right, and so it's like,
if it's still a bad game.
If you said this time, then that's your responsibility. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a weird where you don't want to be too demanding, but also you're a customer, right?
Right.
It's not like, it is. It's a weird spot to be in where you don't want to be like beggars and choosers, but also you're going to want me to spend $60 to $80 on this game, and I've been waiting and setting money aside, and plus people pre-order these games, which is part of why I say don't pre-order them, right? But you've got people already saying, yeah, I'll give you some money for that, and then to keep moving the goalpost on them. Now, granted, this is the first delay for both of these games, but hopefully that's the only one, right?
I feel like there's been a lot of delays on...
Yeah, I was gonna say, in general.
Yeah, there's been delays on a lot of stuff, yeah.
I know, and I'm wondering if it's a case of still transitioning, like, out of, like, COVID-style development? I don't know. You know what I mean? Where, maybe we're not moving back into the office or whatever. I'm not sure if that causes anything at all. But
someone's got a case of the Mondays.
Uh-oh. No, I think about the fact that every time they delay a game, it costs them a lot of money, because now that's more time that you're, renting office space and paying people, and then you've got to change marketing material over. If they had marketing material that said the release date already, now they have to change marketing material to reflect a new release date, right?
Yep.
And they have to extend their marketing budget because now we're going to be marketing for another 6 months potentially. So, I don't know. It is, if they feel they need to spend the money to make the money, in that case, it makes me think obviously there must be something there, but I don't know. Like I said, games have been delayed that still come out bad. You figure, like you said, Cyberpunk released pretty unfinished, and it had like 3 or 4 delays before it came out, and it still wasn't done.
Yep.
And some people argue that it's still not done.
That's what I hear, because I want to get it, but I still hear to this day that it's just not good because it's not finished, so I just didn't want to. And you remember me saying how excited I was. You have it?
Yeah, and I played it for like 2 days and was like, dude, this is so disappointing. Because it was. I mean, it was super buggy and the graphics weren't at all what they advertised, you know what I mean? And it didn't feel like that initial gameplay that we saw where it's like, this is a real bustling city. It's like, I'm seeing 6 of the same guy walking down the street here in the same direction. It doesn't feel like a living city like they sold it as.
Right.
And so, yeah, it was just a pretty big letdown where I think they gave us a pretty big bill of sale and then couldn't back it up.
Yeah.
But
they can talk the talk, but they can't walk the walk.
That's right, you know. I'll bark and no bite. I'm ready to talk about these games, baby. Where are you at?
Yeah, I got them.
Do you want to start or do you want me to start? We'll just do a little back and forth. And like I said, this is going to be almost list style where we're really going to try not to dig in on any of these unless there's one that we're both like, oh, fuck. And then we feel that we've got to get in on them.
I got a couple I plan on digging in on. Just
all right, yeah,
so
yeah.
You know.
I'm sure I've got a couple that I could dig into. Like one for sure that I'm eyeballing right now. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at it like a snack.
The first one I wanted to talk about is a game called Overland.
Okay, yeah. I saw that in some of my lists.
Yeah. Say, I played it, it was on mobile.
Okay.
And I think I did the free trial for like Apple games, and I think it was one of those.
Yeah, like Apple Arcade or whatever.
Yeah. And so essentially there is they're not quite zombies, but they're like maybe like aliens.
Okay.
And you are in a car and you drive into a very cut off, like you're on like a street, and maybe there's like 2 or 3 buildings, maybe.
Yeah.
And
it looked kind of side scrolly. Is that how it was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to try to get supplies and like bring people with you, but also they might have some shit you want.
Right.
So what are you gonna do? And all decision based.
Shoot them in the back of the head and take their stuff.
Right. But as well as the more sound you make, the
draws the
more aggressive. Yeah. So you don't like if you do try to kill them, you're trying to go in with like a knife or something, but that's so much more difficult. So you have to like if you do like you're like I need that shit, I want it now. Bang, shoot them, get all the shit, try to hustle back.
Just get the fuck out of there.
They're too alerted, yeah.
Rock on. And you said it was a mobile game?
Yeah, I played it on my phone.
Huh.
And it was like
on like the Switch and stuff.
Yeah, dude, if they do, I'll have to get it back because that game was a lot of fun. But I don't feel like paying to have Apple Arcade, but so I just enjoyed it while I could. But yeah, I'd love to see if there's like an ending to it or if it's just non-cycle thing. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Heck yeah. So I'm gonna try and start with I don't really have a smaller one, but I can mimic you here. I've got a mobile game on here called Oregon Trail. Not Oregon Trail, but Oregon Trail. It's making fun of or parodying the educational Oregon Trail game where you're, in the American frontier, right? Except this is the zombie apocalypse and you're traveling across in a station as opposed to a covered wagon. And, it kind of makes fun of the whole you died of dysentery thing. And you're still managing the supplies to fix your car and food, and you've got ammunition, and you have to have your med kits and stuff, and you do have to worry about things like bandits and stopping to trade and hunt and things like that. And it's been out for over 10 years. I didn't realize that. It started as a browser game before it was put on mobile. And yeah, it's got all kinds of expansions and stuff now where it's got the complete edition where now you can choose your routes and stuff like that. And it's a really good time. And yeah, I enjoy it. It's a fun little time killer if you're sitting there waiting on something for the doctor's or whatever. You pull it up on your phone and play through. And there's times where you're somebody gets bitten and you have to pull over and shoot them, and you're like, whoa. Damn. All right.
We're here to see Chris. Is Chris here? And I'm just I just brained somebody. I'm here.
Yeah, you just click lock your phone, put it in your pocket. You're like, here.
Yeah, just go back to normal life.
And even better is if you name them all after your friends and stuff, and you're like,
oh my God.
I just had to shoot Chris in the forehead because he got bit, He's on his knees on the side of the road going, just do it. And you're like,
brain
right,
my
Doc.
ass.
Yeah. All right, Doc, tell me what's wrong. But yeah, no, that's a good time. What you got?
The next one I have is I'm trying to go maybe from older games to newer games.
Sure.
Dead Island.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dead Island. I remember I first played that. I mean, oh shit, maybe 5th grade, 6th grade, maybe.
Yeah, I
And I
remember playing
remember
that on PC when it first came out.
there's a whole story behind this. Um, I went over and spent the night at a buddy's, and he was having like a little birthday party, and it was me and like 4 other dudes. This is gonna be a complete overshare of my childhood, but um, so we're all playing games. He had 2 TVs, he had 2 Xbox. I was like, this kid's the shit,
Yeah,
And
he's that friend.
so they got Halo on one of them, and then they got Dead Island on the other. And I was like, I've never played. He's like, oh, dude, try it out. It's so much fun. So I remember I just had like a boating oar.
Yeah.
And I was just cracking him on the side of the head,
Yeah,
just laying in the work.
Yeah.
And while we're all playing that, that first kid falls asleep. And so everyone like stops what they're doing and looks over. And we're all like, let's like put his hand in warm water, make him piss himself.
Right, yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I gotta fart, I'll fart on him. And I sharted. And I instantly got like white faced and like pale. And I was like, I gotta go to the bathroom. And I went to the bathroom, and I remember I was crying because I was like, yeah, I done shit myself. And let alone I damn near shit on the first kid who fell asleep at the sleepover.
Can you imagine?
And I just remember I
shit on him.
And I just flushed the underwear and came back out and acted like nothing fucking happened. I was as cool as a cucumber.
Back in the room, baby.
And just ever since then, I just remember that game sticks with me in such a nostalgic way.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I like that. We're talking about post-apocalyptic games, and your discussion for Dead Island is that you shit your pants at a birthday party.
Holy fuck.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, my God.
Well, I hate to tell you, I also shit my pants when I played fucking Dead Island. Now, oh, fuck. I lost my whole thought.
No, you're good, baby. Get in it.
Oh, shit. That's by Techland Studios, right?
Something like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, you probably just wrote down the name.
Yeah, because it was just funny and it was a good game. It's a good game. I'd like to play it.
It is a good game. It is a very good game. Had really good trailers that were not how the game was played, but the game was still fun. But the trailer was very, like, high-impact emotional. And then you're like...
Oh, yeah.
It's like an RPG, and you're, like, playing as a rapper who's beating heads in with a brick. And you're like, all right, this isn't as emotional as the trailer made it. So speaking of Techland, I've got Dying Light on here.
Yeah, I have Dying Light on mine, too.
Well, check that shit off. I beat you to it, baby.
Yeah, you did.
So, yeah, it's by Techland, and it came out in 2015. And it's kind of an evolution of the way that Dead Island plays, where it's it does have an emphasis on co-op, but the real big thing from that was, like, the parkour. And, you and I played through it. We didn't get to play all of, like, the expansions and stuff, because your computer started shitting itself.
Yeah. You know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. But yeah,
Mr.
we had a really good time. Like, we blazed through that in a few sittings because we were just like slack-jawed.
We would grind the hell out of that game.
Yeah.
And we did a bunch of side quests too.
Oh yeah, we were trying to complete that shit. Like,
yeah.
We were pretty high level by the end, and we were just slashing people up with just demonic weapons.
Yeah. Oh, dude, the creativity in the weapons is one of the things that definitely sticks out to me.
And like, we got such a kick out of just the simple stuff like drop kicking zombies.
Yeah, we would try to like jump over each other and like someone crouch.
Yeah, and just like drop kicking off of buildings.
Yeah, I was gonna say when you were on the
off
roof
the top rope.
Yeah, you just would jump off like a 3-story building, just drop kick them.
Yeah, and I'd be off the top rope, boof, and just kick the shit out of a zombie, and then I'd down myself, and I'd be, oh, pick me up.
Yeah.
Oh.
Turn it
stop
off.
laughing. Help me up.
Let's see. Another one I have. Let's see. I'm gonna pick one that I'm gonna dog on.
Oh, all right, yeah, get in there. I didn't know we were doing that.
I told you I had some I wanted to dog on.
Did you?
Yeah.
All right.
Biomutant.
I didn't play that. I didn't play that at all.
Yeah, Biomutant. I remember I went to the store and I saw it and I was like, oh shit, that looks pretty interesting. Like I haven't seen anything about it. I'm looking at it, I'm like, that sounds pretty cool. Basically the whole premise is there's
That's
this
when you
tree
play
of
as a furry, isn't it?
you're like a fox. Like, but
So,
you're humanoid. Basically, it's a game about furries.
right on.
But then there's like
Hey,
weasels and
everybody
like
do what you want to do.
rabbits. That's what I'm saying. But there's rabbits and weasels, and basically there's this. We're all kind of humanoid.
Yeah.
Because there was like, well, you're
Like a
humanoids to
nuclear
begin with.
holocaust.
But yeah, it's almost like a nuclear holocaust, and then there's this tree of life, and that is kind of what brings peace and prosperity, and it's dying.
Oh, that's not
And
good.
you have to and you have to try to, there's a bunch of, the world's broken apart tribes, and you have to try to win them all over or kill them to basically get them out of the way to go save the tree of life. And there's like, I think like 5 or 6 tribes, and I killed the first guy because I was like, yeah, you're out of the way, I don't like you. And the second one, they were pretty cool, so I was like, all right, yeah, I fought a lot of them, but I was like, you guys have powerful stuff, like, yeah, join.
Yeah.
And then after that, they're like, since you got the second tribe to join, all of the other tribes joined you. And then that's it. And I was like, are you fucking shitting me right now? I was like, I literally played this game for maybe 3 hours.
Damn. Does it have, do you think it has replayability?
I don't know. As soon as that happened, I put it in its case and it's been collecting dust.
Rock on. Damn, well, I'm sorry I had that experience.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, we both are. I'm going to throw one out that isn't necessarily... I mean, I'm not going to dog on it. I had a decent time altogether. But it wasn't my favorite. It wasn't gas or nothing, you know what I mean?
It wasn't gas.
Days Gone.
Really? I remember you were playing the hell out of that game.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I didn't hate it. But I wasn't I didn't finish it, and I wasn't compelled to finish it. I basically played it until I lost interest, and then was like, all right.
Yeah, all right.
They were a little late. Like, you figure it came out in 2019. I'm thinking it was definitely supposed to be a Daryl Dixon type game.
Sure.
Where, it's about a biker surviving in the zombie apocalypse. And the motorcycle stuff is really fun, as well as there's the whole, one of the gimmicks, I guess, from the advertising, was that there are hordes of zombies that are very akin to, the World War Z movie, where they're just, a wave of they're all one entity, just a wave of them, crawling over each other and shit, chasing you. And that was kind of scary, where you'd be riding the bike, or even worse is if you got caught on foot. But, yeah, I mean, I did it. The story was, pretty mid at best, and there was times where I'm like, all right, come on, scoot it along here, what are we doing? And the story wasn't compelling enough to keep me playing it, and the gameplay got kind of repetitive, so I just stopped. But when I first played, the first couple hours were really enjoyable. And I think if you've got a PS5, it's free. It's on part of, the PS Plus collection on the PS5. Okay. So that's how I got it. That's the other thing is I enjoyed the first few hours and I did pay for it. So
right.
That does kind of color the opinion a little bit.
Let me see. The next one I have down is Dead Rising.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that one I remember. Again, it was almost like that wacky, kind of goofy.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Put fucking hats and shit on the zombies.
But I mean, I remember that shit was so good. I mean,
yeah.
Especially because I kind of played that when I was a little younger, so it was a nice segue into really enjoying these things instead of being scared shitless.
Right.
But yeah, I just remember even the story behind it, meeting all the different characters you have to fight. I remember there's the samurai guy who it sounds like he's a little crazy. And we just end up killing him with that katana. And and it is it's funny, there's zombies around you banging on the fence, and you are just worried about this guy, and you're just
single guy.
And you were both just fighting with swords.
Right, as you do.
Right. And so a very good game, very funny, and it is something that I feel like I would be able just to joyride around and get funny attire
and
just kill a bunch of zombies for 2 hours.
Yeah, and then be like, all right, cool. Did you get to play the second one at all? The place in Vegas?
No, I have not.
That one's a lot of fun, and they kind of increased put a lot more focus into the weapon crafting in that.
Okay.
So you can make some really bizarre ass weapons, like an oar from a sporting goods store, and a kayak oar where it's the double ended, and then chainsaws, and you just get chainsaws on either end of your, and you just start paddling through the zombies.
Jesus.
Just, yeah, it's badass. But yeah, it is that same dumb, like, tongue-in-cheek. And I did like the idea of putting a time limit on things, so it does kind of encourage you to maybe play it more than once, because you might just miss some stuff because you're like, well, I don't have time to do all of these things. Yeah, that's a good one. Good call out.
Thank you.
Let's see. I've got still zombies. We talked about that before this. A lot of post-apocalyptic games are zombies.
Yeah. Like literally like 10 minutes before the podcast.
Yeah. We were like, we got a lot of zombies in this. No, Telltale's The Walking Dead.
Now, I haven't played too much of that. I know, Clementine. I spoilers. I guess I'm not.
Yeah, it's a 10-year-old game. We can go ahead and spoil it.
But I know, like Clementine. I know. Oh goodness, I can't remember his name.
Lee.
Lee. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know he's dead, as well as Clementine. Like has like a kid or like a little brother situation.
Yeah. So I'm specifically going to talk about season 1 because they're all good, but season 1 is like peak. Yeah. The story was just so good. I'm a sucker for a good narrative, but I do enjoy when it gives you choice, which is kind of Telltale Games' whole thing. Is making decisions and your decisions having in it, and it does. I mean,
those are really good.
It gets you really enthralled in the story, like you're talking about. Lee is dead, and so it does. It gets you really enthralled in the story, and you're like, I really want Clementine to be okay, and they do a really good job of making Clementine your focus. That's your priority, right?
Yeah.
Is this little girl. And I remember specifically like being so into it that when Lee got bit, I was like, no! I'm like losing my shit. And yeah, and then when he died, I cried. It was a good game. I'm like, man, this is solid shit right here. But yeah, and it did. It kind of fell off a little bit. Especially season 3 was almost entirely unrelated to the 2 prior seasons. And I didn't play the final season, which I would like to go back and do.
Yeah, for sure. A game I put on here, speaking of you crying at games, The Last of Us.
Yeah, I've got that too.
Part 1 and 2. I guess I'll talk about part 1 if you want to talk about part 2 since we both have it.
Sure.
Actually swap it because I want to talk about it too.
All right, so you want me to just talk about The Last of Us?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it does a really good job. It was a Naughty Dog game, which is the same people that made the Uncharted series, and so it was a really nice, real big change of pace, And it was actually one of my most anticipated games of all time. Like, when I saw the trailers for it, I was like, holy fuck, I've got to play this. And
well, you got to think that's how we met, or that's how we really connected, is through
The Last of Us multiplayer. But I'd played that, it came out in 2013, and I was like, I drove over to the game, like the GameStop that I'd pre-ordered it at, picked that shit up, and I went to work that day, because it was middle of the summer, and I came back home, and I was like, all right, oh, fuck, and I just played through it, and it's so good. It does a really good job of being a road trip story, which I think a lot of post-apocalyptic games do kind of lean into sometimes if it's a narrative. But just really being a character game of like person you play as, again, similar to Telltale's The Walking Dead. It's the idea of playing as an adult male who has a kid in their care that they kind of just fell into, right? And then having to develop that relationship together and keep them safe. And it does such a good job of getting you like wrapped up in their story together. And, And like all the twists and turns that happen along. And it's an interesting a look at the apocalypse because it is still, it's 20 years after the fall of mankind, basically. Or society, I guess. And so you get to see pretty man-made structures that have started to be taken back by nature. And so it's not like the very far future, where everything is just gone. But it's, recent enough that, the skyscrapers are still there. They just also have trees growing out of their 3rd and 4th stories and stuff where, like I said, nature's taking it back.
Yeah. One of the biggest things about, The Last of Us that I really do appreciate, I lost my thought, is how real because, obviously it's a zombie game, but it's from cordyceps, which is a real thing. It's a fungus
it's a parasite fungus. Yeah.
Grows inside insects. That I was watching a documentary about it, and it actually keeps nature in check. That's what the fungus is. It's to keep any one insect species away from being too big, because it's like the bigger the bigger the colony is, the higher chance that it's going to happen.
Right. So it kind of helps keep that in check.
Yeah, and I just like how it made sense with the it just made the bridge from insects to man.
And with us being like the most populous mammal on Earth. Yeah.
It felt, for as silly as zombies are now, it felt very real. Like that could probably happen.
Yeah, it manages to take a, like you said, silly, I guess, or a pretty fictitious monster and make it as real as it could.
Mm-hmm.
So that you don't have to suspend your disbelief too much.
Yeah, and I remember we really got to talking about this, especially when the second one came out. The first one is about love, like acceptance. And this is, I'm not sure if you were done, but I was gonna segue into the second one. Okay, and the second one's about like hate and revenge. And Ellie has a tattoo that I really want of the moth on her arm. Because we would always talk about like revenge, comparing it to like a moth and a lantern, like close the moth would get before it dies because it gets too close.
Right.
And I remember, like, this is a big spoiler here, so if you haven't played the game, but it's been out for a minute now.
Right.
But as at the very end when so Ellie's chasing, we are introduced into this character. Her name is Abby. And in the first one, at the end, Joel kills a doctor because Ellie's basically the cure. Joel kills a doctor that's gonna cure it, but Ellie dies. Ellie would die if they made the cure following.
Right.
So Abby is the daughter of that doctor who's come to kill Joel.
You've got this. You're so good.
I'm so solid, baby. I'm like a block of wood. But so Abby came to kill Joel, who killed her father, and does so. And then they kind of scurry back, in their victory. Yeah. And Ellie is left with this hate of wanting to kill Abby.
Yeah, wanting to find the people that did it.
So they go and, Ellie and a couple other people go and basically start picking off their teammates out of revenge in Seattle. And, she finally gets to the end and she gets Abby and it's this big old brawl and they're fighting. And it's been like years, like a good
I think it's been about 2 years.
Yeah. And at the very end, she's, punching her and stuff like that. She's holding her underwater. And throughout this entire thing, she's getting these flashbacks of just seeing Joel dead. Yeah. And as she's kind of holding her down under the water, she gets a flashback, but it's Joel sitting playing a guitar. And it really just brings them, up to the light of, is this what Joel would have wanted?
Right.
Yeah, like Joel wouldn't have wanted all this. He would have, just let it be.
Plus the significance being that in that scene, she's, trying to drown Abby, and Abby bites some of her fingers off.
Yeah.
And Joel taught Ellie to play the guitar, and so like kind of the last thing that she has is her ability to play the guitar, and the guitar that he gave her, which is why she has that flash to him. And now she's unable to play the guitar because she's missing some of her fingers for the chords.
Because of how much hatred she had.
Exactly, yeah. Her pursuit of revenge cost her that.
Yeah, and which, kind of goes back to that moth in the flame.
Yeah.
I remember as I was playing that and watching all of that happen, I was sitting on my couch and I just had tears rolling down my face just because it was such a heavy thing, and having that connection from the first game, and in a stupid, silly way, like that's how we met and we're so close, and I was just like, like I couldn't help but like cry a little bit, and it's such a good game, and it gets a lot of hate, which I don't like.
Which I don't think is deserved. Yeah. No,
I think a very good game, very solid story. So if you have something to say about The Last of Us Part 2, definitely send an email at simplywhelmedmailbag@gmail.com, and I probably won't read it because it's stupid.
Right, yeah. Call us SJW Cucks if you want, Just bring on the Cuck explosion.
Yeah. But no, Last of Us Part 2, very good game. Very good game.
Yeah. We talked about how zombies are super popular. What if we went the other route? I think you probably have this on your list, The Long Dark.
Yes, I do have this on my list. Let me check it
Yeah,
out.
The Long Dark is on pretty much all platforms at this point, I think. I know that
I
it's on
think it's even on
console.
Switch.
Yeah, and so that's really cool. But it started as just this PC indie game by a company called Hinterland Studios. And the premise is super simple. It's like basically a geomagnetic event, right, that plunges the world into winter and knocks out all power. And there's no zombies, there's no human enemies either. It's literally you against, like, you're gonna freeze, you're gonna starve, you're gonna break a leg and not be able to go hunt, you're gonna fucking accidentally get poisoned by eating the wrong berries, you might get attacked by a wolf or a bear. It's just, there's a lot, and it is intense, and it's really hard. Like, there's times
it's super fucking hard.
Everything wants to kill you. And one of the things that the developers talk about a lot that I think it really nails is that one of the main, like, characters, they call it in the game, is like loneliness.
Mm-hmm.
And it really nails that feeling.
Yeah, like in that game, like I remember, when I first started playing it, I would just be alone, and just light a candle and like turn off all the lights, and I'd be like, all right, like I want to be.
Yeah, like I'm going in.
Yeah, like it's.
And it is. It's
not something you can play lightly.
Like walking down a like some railroad tracks while a blizzard's setting in, you can hear wolves off in the distance. Just like, I just got to find a building to get into,
and start a fire and try to stay warm enough to survive another day.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like you mark successes in hours and days where you're like, all right, that's one more day, you know. And a lot of times you're in a spot where you're like, all right, well, I made it today, but I cannot guarantee tomorrow because I just ate the last can of food. So tomorrow I've got to go find what I'm going to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And it does a really good job of just being a survival game that is strictly man versus nature, which, like we've been talking about, that's hard to come by post-apocalypse. And I'd like to see more people attempt it.
Yeah.
Because it is interesting to have that whole other, like we talked about, when society and rules and all that are stripped away and it's strictly you and nature and I just have to make it, it does put you in an interesting perspective of like, okay, what would I do, to survive?
As well as it's such a good game. You and I would talk about how we want it to be a multiplayer game, but also we're not sure if we want to take the fundamental of it being so isolated and so lonely away.
Yeah. And they did talk about that they're adding mod support this year, because it's also a game that's constantly getting updated. And so, I mean, maybe with mod support being added in, people might try and mod multiplayer in. I don't know how extensive of mods they'll allow, but if they could mod multiplayer in a way that doesn't upset that dynamic, like we talked about, it's a pretty big map. Maybe they, you both spawn somewhere in the map, but you have no clue where the other one is. And, in that game, because of how tough the elements are, traveling a relatively short distance might be pretty taxing.
Yeah.
And so it'd be hard to get to each other.
No, yeah, I absolutely agree. Yeah, it's so good because, like, there's so much. I think just like the smaller detail in it, like you can build, because like if you're on this road or forest or frozen lake, like there are points in time where like, fuck, I am not gonna make it. Like, what the hell am I gonna do? And you can build little snow huts that, when you're looking at it, you're like, yeah, like it ain't much, but yeah, like that.
But
I suppose that would work. And so it's such a good game.
Yeah, desperation is a big part of it, where you're like, man, well, like I said, eating dog food or,
you got like 5 cans of food. You think you're hot shit, like,
and it's gone.
You're like, oh fuck, I'm eating like a king.
Yeah, and like just simple stuff like getting mauled by, getting attacked, and now my jacket's torn and ruined, and I'm cold.
Yeah.
And it's like, I survived the wolf fight, but did I? Because now the cold might get
in the long run. Yeah. Keeping that not zombie. I have the forest.
Yeah.
Which I feel like we played through, and again we grinded through.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would.
That shit out.
Yeah. Which was a very good, surprisingly a very good story. Like the story wasn't as big, but like, the more it went on, I was like, oh shit, what's about to happen? Okay.
Yeah, there was more story than it seemed on the surface.
Yeah. And, but so playing through the story was a lot of fun, getting the cool gear and stuff like that, as well as like you get a chainsaw, don't you?
Yeah, at some point.
Yeah. And so just, getting all that fun stuff. is a lot of fun, as well as again, it is a matter of survival of nature when trying to make sure you have enough food. Making like poisonous food or food that's gone bad was a big one because if you don't dry meat, I think it like expires within that day.
Yeah, something like that,
and
or a couple days.
and sometimes you'll be chopping down a tree or something, and you see food, and you're like, oh fuck, I need to get that. You get it, and then you're like, all right, I gotta get all this wood back. Time flies, and the food's gone bad.
Yeah, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah, and so
or
stuff like
even
that.
as simple as getting crushed by the falling tree.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. Dude, I remember we were playing and I chopped down a tree and it just crushed the base. Like completely.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah.
And we stopped playing. We just stopped playing for like a month.
Yeah, we're like, well, great. Thanks a lot.
Dude,
all that hard work gone.
I was so mad.
I think, with our time, we could probably get maybe like 2 more each.
Okay.
Because we're coming up on like 55 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. If we want to keep with, there's one that I'm saving for my last, I think. So if we want to stick with the non-zombie, man versus nature type stuff, Frostpunk is a really good post-apocalyptic game.
Oh yeah.
That's super different from anything else I've got on the list because it's a post-apocalyptic, survival-based city builder.
Yeah, which that's like one of the first games I've seen like that, and I want to see more.
Yeah, well, it's got a sequel planned for release this year.
Yes. That's why I like to hear.
But no, so Frostpunk is basically like an alternate future or present, I guess, where a string of natural disasters cause the world to go into winter. I think it's a volcanic winter. And basically humanity has built these things called engines, and they're these large spire, basically this big tower in the center of these little settlements that they build that generates heat. And the whole idea is you're basically the mayor, I guess, settlement, and you're building the city up around this big heat generating pyre, and you get to choose laws and things like that, and how you're going to divvy up your population as labor. And it does make you actually make some moral decisions quite a bit. We're like, yeah, this law might be immoral where it's like, are we going to use child labor? You know what I mean? And you're like, yeah, I think we are because
we need all hands
workers
on deck. Yeah.
And then there's other times where it's like, all right, what do we do with the dead? Well, do we have funerals for them or do we just, when you have the funerals, I think the payoff is like, it boosts morale, but also everybody stops working for however long it takes to have the funeral. And you're like, well, that's
like,
my
we don't have time to, do shit.
So then you have to, otherwise you have to like pick just a burial mound and you just stuff people down in the snow.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
as one
really
does.
Good. And and the weather can change where like as time moves on, it's like, oh well, we've got a big, we thought it was cold now. Wait until a couple of days. And you're like, oh fuck, I'm not ready for
Dude, yeah. The last 10 days in that game
is a fucking, it's like negative 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's just, nobody goes to work. You better hope that we've got enough food and the house is warm. And, enough population that as people starve and freeze, sick and die, we might have people left at the end. And that was kind of how we won it. Yeah, that was hardcore. And it's really fun. And yeah, like I said, it's got sequel plan for this year. And I really enjoyed the idea of like, by the end, you're choosing ideologies and shit where it's like, yeah, we're running this as a police state, Yeah. Mandatory fun, nobody complains because, all is good.
Yeah. Very good game. And again, that was one that we grinded hard.
Yeah, we played that in like a sitting.
Yeah. We were up till like 4. Yeah, we were up so late.
And then you just crashed. That was at the apartment. And you just crashed on my couch.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. If we only have 2 more, shit. I'll probably say just because my love for the 3rd and 4th one.
Mm-hmm.
Fallout.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I have a lot of love for all. New Vegas is really, probably the best one.
Dude, New Vegas is like the one that I was saving for the end.
Yeah. Oh shit.
What?
My fault.
No, you're good. Like there's another one that I can put at the end.
Well, I'll talk about Fallout, but I won't talk about New Vegas, and then that'll be your last one. Then I'll go again.
Okay.
So yeah, Fallout 3. That's the first Fallout I ever played. And just such the soundtrack to it.
Yeah.
It's so funny, and I love just because it's like that old I want to say that retro futurism.
Yeah, it's called Atom Punk.
And so yeah, I have all that that music going around, and we always make the joke we'll be literally killing like a 4-foot cockroach.
Monsters. Yeah.
Yeah, and you just hear the
strange
song.
mutants.
He's hacking and whacking, and
Yeah.
and so it it's so goofy and it's so much fun, but I truly love just the aesthetic of it, just the concept of it. It is more of like that sci-fi. You have lasers,
Right.
and all that.
Yeah, because the world ended in 2077.
Yeah, but they found what was it? They found nuclear energy, or discovered nuclear energy in like the 50s.
Instead of after World War II, instead of us going into a nuclear like Cold War, like an arms race, we discovered nuclear fission instead of fusion. No, fusion instead of fission. And so we created renewable energy, and we had just big spike of scientific discoveries and technologies and things like that. And then by 2077, we've worked our way back around to nuclear war.
Mm-hmm.
And China and the U.S. open nuclear war and destroy the world. And everybody goes down into the vaults to hide.
Mm-hmm.
And the vaults open at certain times because each game is a certain length in the future.
Yeah, which really quick, we were talking earlier. We talked about
about 76.
Well, after that, when I was saying I often like to daydream about games that would be good that aren't that are kind of different. And one of them would be, it's just a very real, maybe modern, I'm not quite sure, but nuclear war happens and bomb drops. But the thing is how many years do they predict that we'd have to stay underground before the radiation's livable?
No, I have no clue.
Basically something where it's all right, so the year after that mark, people just come out.
Yeah, what's that look like?
Yeah, and I want it to be
more realistic than a Fallout.
Yeah, I think that'd be interesting. Just noticing and seeing
Fallout's kind of sci-fi fantasy.
Everything's dead. There is no color in this game.
Right.
And just almost maybe that horror style, but not in the sense of jump scare, but in the sense of a psychological oh my god.
Yeah, well, you could do kind of the Long Dark, where now it's nuclear winter.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Have you ever watched the movie or read the book, The Road?
Is that with the old guy and the young kid?
Yes.
Yeah, I've read very little of the book.
I've probably read parts to you.
You could have. But I remember I've seen the movie. It's been a while, but
that's kind of what you're talking about, where it's just this super grim, and the only living thing left is people, and it's okay, well, so then some of the implication there is you're looking at cannibalism, Yeah. Yeah, there's some really horrible stuff that you see in there, and basically the big theme is it's a father and his son, and it's what would you do to keep your kid alive, right? And still try and instill good moral values in them in a world that really doesn't have morals anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that'd be an interesting game to kind of look into. You could try and do what you're talking about and combine it with something like that.
Sounds like we're about to make a game. We're going to call it The Path. Copyright.
Yeah.
Patent pending.
So this is my last one, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess there's no rules. We make the fucking thing.
You're goddamn right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that energy. Keep that energy. It's anarchy, Yeah, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do 2 more because there is one that I really want to talk about.
Oh, shit!
But I do want to talk about Fallout New Vegas. So I'm going to talk about New Vegas now because so Fallout New Vegas is my probably most favorite post-apocalyptic game. It's at least in the top 3. And it's the best Fallout game. Don't fucking argue with me. It's also the only one not by Bethesda Game Studios, as far as the first-person shooter ones go.
Mm-hmm.
It's developed by Obsidian Games, which I've talked about before when I talked about I was playing their Outer Worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Obsidian does such a good job of world building and making every side path and story and things like that feel really important.
Mm-hmm.
Where you can run down one of my first times playing Fallout. I met up with a sniper in this town called Prim. Or no, he's not in Prim. He is in Novak, which, again, kind of that world building stuff. The town's literally called Novak because it's got a motel sign out front, and the no vacancy sign. All that's left up there is Novak. And so, like, the town's just called Novak, you know? And you meet up with a sniper there, and he's got this whole story about how wife was kidnapped from their home and sold to these slavers. And so then you get a side mission with him of, like, we want to get Boone his, like, closure, right? And so I played through this whole storyline of following Boone's, you know, clues and things like that. And you take it all the way to the top and you fight the bad guys, you know, or really the good part about the game is you kind of get to decide who the bad guy is. Because there's so many different factions. But there's this group called Caesar's Legion who are basically barbarians.
Okay.
And you follow all the way up the chain and you take down Caesar's Legion and all that. And then I was like, man, wow, whew, cool, I beat the game, you know. And then I realized that I hadn't that wasn't even the point of the game. Like, that was just one long side mission, basically. And I was like, holy fuck, that felt super important. You know what I mean?
Right.
And to then realize that, shit, there's so much more to this game. And then the really good part about it is being able to mod it now, in retrospect. Because I've played it so many times that you can still keep it interesting and fresh by modding it.
Yeah, because we had that mod that we played for a little bit where we got to play together.
Yeah, the multiplayer, it still needs a lot of work, but I like the idea of it. Because I think that's one of the things that, not to pick on 76 too much, but Fallout 76 doesn't feel as much like Fallout as it could, I think.
Yeah.
And so I think something like just taking a game like New Vegas that is really loved and is obviously a work of love by the people that made it, and making it something that you can share with, you know, your friends.
Mm-hmm. I think if you were each doing 2 more, I'll do 1 more after this.
Yeah. Okay.
You
just want your words to be last, don't you?
That's actually correct.
Actually, yeah. That's
you're. Yeah. If you were a nail, I hit you on the head.
That's stupid. Go ahead.
State of Decay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were the one who actually introduced me to that game.
Yeah, State of Decay 2.
Yeah, yes, that's one I have. Is State of Decay 2. But basically, there's this outbreak, but there's
a zombie outbreak.
Yeah, it's a zombie outbreak, but there is a cure.
Yes.
And so it's really interesting to, like, if you get bit, you're not dead entirely, but you better hustle back and get that cure before the infection gets bad. So it is interesting to see, like, people, and as you grow, you can recruit more people.
Yeah.
And like help them out, which is really interesting.
And the nice thing is, there's not like a main character.
No, not at all.
The people that you add to your settlement are just people that you can play as now.
Yeah.
So this is kind of cool. We're like, oh yeah, this guy died. I guess that sucks. I developed that character, but now I've got all these other people back at the base that I could play as.
Mm-hmm. And you get to build like a base, and like food, more storage, living quarters, all that stuff, as well as surround your walls, and getting cars, because if you don't have a car, you're kind of fucked. You need a car, and
they're making
really
it
interesting.
Free, apparently.
Oh, I'll have to play it. Just a really fun. Like, there's these.
We had a good time with that because it was co-op.
Yeah, and there's like these hive infestations.
Yeah,
and basically they're creating more, or like spreading the infection. So you kind of have to go in and destroy it. There's waves because you're destroying like a nest, and so when something like that happens, all of their heads like start freaking out.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun, and it is one. You can have strategy to it, but you could also. I'm a very barbaric player when I'm in video games, so you can have both. And most of the time I'm barbaric, but it's nice to have the option.
Yeah. No, you're very much like me, Mongo, me destroy.
Correct. Fire bad.
No, fire hurt, Mongo. So let's see. I've talked about almost all of mine. That's kind of nice that we got to do that. But my last one that I want to talk about is kind of a technically, right? Where it's post-apocalyptic, but a new society has already been put in place, and so it's kind of dystopian as well.
Okay.
Half-Life 2. I think I talked about it before on here, that it's one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah.
basically the gist of it is like in the first Half-Life game, you're just a scientist out in the middle of like the Nevada desert working on portal technology, and you accidentally open this portal, and this alien comes through and is wreaking havoc on the base, and like the military is called in to try and contain the situation and stuff, and you're just trying to get out.
Mm-hmm.
And then it takes a really hard turn into even more like odd sci-fi world building, where this gentleman in a suit. The first game's from like 1998. Graphics are pretty rough, but it's really good for the time. This weird dude in a suit like pauses time basically and tells you like, "Thanks a lot. You did a lot of work for us. You helped us out. You have no clue how valuable you've been," and basically offers you a job with him and his benefactors. But the alternative is like, take the job or I'll give you a fight that you're going to lose. And it's like, well, that doesn't really give me a choice. So he kind of like just takes you away and just plucks you out of time, basically. And Half-Life 2 opens up with him basically telling you, like, he wakes you up and he says, wake up, Mr. Freeman. It's time to smell the ashes. And you are on this train coming into what's called City 17 and come to find out through like the world building that you when you open that portal and those aliens came through, those aliens were running from another alien called the Combine, and the Combine followed them to Earth, and apparently something called the 7-Hour War took place, and the Combine took Earth in 7 hours.
Damn.
And so you're coming in like 15 years later, basically, just being dropped in out of time, and there's like this whole government put in place and all that where the Combine completely run Earth, and you have to start like a resistance movement. And so you kind of get this odd world building where it's like, so this weird dude who can kind of work outside of time is putting you in places where he make the most impact. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so there's that interesting set there. And it came out in like 2004, and the graphics are really good, and the gameplay is still really fun. Like I've played it as recently as like 4 years ago. And it's still one of the best like FPS games I've played in a long time.
Yeah, I haven't played any of the Half-Life, so I mean, I'm really over here like listening, like, damn, that sounds like a good game.
Yeah, and it does a really interesting thing, especially for 2004, of there's no cutscenes. So all of the story building is either through like the world or, in-game conversations and stuff like that people have. And yeah, it does a really good job of, dragging you through it, and you're like, fuck, I just want to keep playing. Yeah. Which makes the fact that Half-Life 3 just never happened even more depressing because it ends on a really major.
Damn.
Yeah. So that was my last one. What you got to finish us off here?
Last one. Oh.
Not fuck with.
Oh, it's banging. So I'm really looking forward.
Fortnite. I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
I'm really looking forward to the game the day before.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, you all thought I forgot it, huh? Well, I didn't.
No, I fucking reminded you last week that they delayed it by a year.
I know, and I shit my pants and cried.
And you also got bad news.
Yeah. Then
you were gonna shoot you were gonna shit your pants and cry either way.
But
as basically exhibited by Dead Island.
Hey man, that kid, I think he knows
your pants and crying.
I think that kid knows who he is, so like if you're listening.
If he listens to this, he really knows now.
Yeah, my fault.
Bad,
yeah, that's on me. I'll take that.
This kid, if he's listening, knows that you shit at him.
Hey, hater's gonna hate and the player's gonna play,
Shitter's gonna shit,
Yeah, shitter's gonna shit. But the day before is, you don't know too much, but it is a zombie game. Basically, it looks like a finished up version of DayZ, which is a game I didn't get to talk about, but it was on my list.
Yeah, it's on my list as well.
DayZ had a lot of potential.
So.
Yeah, DayZ had a lot of potential, but they just never finished the game. The day before looks like a polished up, cleaned up, finished version of the game. So, and I really did like DayZ, so I'm very looking forward to this game here.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I hope it's good. Like that'll be fun. But I've still got 1 foot in. It's going to be a disappointment.
Yeah.
That way, if it is a disappointment, I'm like, saw that coming.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I think we had quite a bit of good things, and we didn't really get too bogged down on any of them, other than fuck.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, we all got the shit story, so that's good.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh man, Chris, what you thinking about this week, buddy?
Welcome back to Chris's Cryptid Corner. I'm your host, Chris. What up, Chris Nation? Today I'm actually taking a little bit of a turn. So it's not a cryptid, but more of an urban legend. I just stumbled across it, and I was like, "Oh shit, what the fuck?"
Word?
So yeah, dude, I was like a little mind. This is kind of scary. So I was like, oh, I should read that. This urban legend origins in Japan, and it is called the Slit-Mouthed Woman.
Word.
And to put up a little more information about it, scroll down a little bit. Basically, it started back in the 70s, and a woman who would wear a mask. There's a story right here. I'll actually read. That is probably better. A woman wearing a face mask asks a passing child, "Am I pretty?" If the frightened youngster says she is, she asks even like this, and removes her masks to reveal a face slit from corner of her mouth to each ear. And if they still say yes, she will let them live, but will carve that into their face. And if they say no, she eats them.
Kind of a lose-lose, honestly.
Yeah, so. But I mean, it looks like here that where'd it go? The 1978, there was enough, like, it didn't matter, like, who you were, how old you were, you knew this. Like, this was
really?
very
That's
well.
how prevalent it was.
Yeah, it was big. And they said they would have, like, patrols out at night. Like, a lot of neighborhoods would ask, like, the mayor, basically, like, will you put a curfew? Like
we're
people
afraid.
people wanted the curfew. And, like, it just became such a big thing. And I guess one day, I think it said, like, 88, in the late 1980s, it just went away. Like, nothing happened.
Stop talking about it.
Yep, and was worried about it anymore.
So I know that they were asking for, like, curfews. Was there ever, like, any legitimate, were there, like, sightings or things like that?
So it said that there's a bunch. It was just, like, everyone would see sightings everywhere, and, like, soon as they would see it, like, they're like, it's something like, "Oh my god, I saw the woman, like, I just ran as soon as I saw her, I didn't even talk." Sounds like she kind of just sits in a back alley, and as like, if, like, someone doesn't see her or, like, walks past her, then that's when
she swoops.
Yeah. But I mean, it got to the point, like, where the government.
Killer clowns.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, dude. I remember that shit was so scary.
Yeah, it's like, oh fuck, like, clowns are creepy anyhow. I'm not, like, afraid of clowns, but there's that weird connotation with them where anymore they're more associated with, and then so there's just the fact that people are dressed up as clowns with fucking knives standing in the middle of parks at, like, 1 a.m. is just creepy.
Yeah, I also loved seeing people beat the shit out of the clowns. Dude, that was what I was really looking for. That's what I was looking for towards, like, maybe halfway through. I was like, I just want to see him get the snot beat out of him because he'd do something like that.
They beat the shit out of the Slit-Mouthed Woman.
They
just work her ass over.
Curb stomper.
Yeah, well, you'll earn that fucking mask.
But so, I mean, it was very interesting. I mean, and I could go on about this. I mean, there's stories and stories, but yeah, very interesting stuff. I mean, I just thought, maybe taking a little turn to urban legends because
it wouldn't be bad.
I don't know. Yeah, if there's smoke, there's fire. So maybe there was a case of a woman who
pop smoke.
Huh?
Pop smoke.
Pop smoke. Pop smoke.
Gun smoke. Gun smoke.
Gun smoke. Gun smoke. Maybe there was a woman who was insane or something, and she cut a big old smile and started killing people.
Yeah, could be.
So yeah, and we just never knew. And it became a legend.
Kids were bored and just started a story.
Right.
Like, both could be true.
That's just the joy in it.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Thank you.
What about you? Of course. What have you been thinking about?
Dude, like, I'm gonna out us real hard. Like, I think I talked about it last week, but I'm thinking about it. We've been playing. In general, I've been thinking about playing more games.
I know exactly where this is going, but go ahead.
I've just been thinking about playing more games in general. I always enjoy it, but anymore it's like I go to work, I come home, I put a little bit of time each day after work into at least thinking about what we're going to do for the podcast and all that. And then obviously when we make the podcast, a lot of times we do it on a day off or after work, and then I spend a day off, at least a part of my day off, editing the podcast. So I spend a lot of time not doing, like, just relaxing, playing a game or whatever. And this is all leading me to us playing the shit out of modded Minecraft.
Dude, I was hanging out with some friends, and you were like, "So, you care if I play in the world without you?" And I was like,
And you're like,
"In our world? Like dead ass? Like, yeah." You're like, "Yeah." And I was like, "I mean, I thought
you
we're
sent
building
me
this shit
back.
together."
No, you sent me back the most petty. Okay, not even OKAY. It was just letters OK. And I was like, fuck, fine, I guess, you know. And then it's like, but you want to go off gallivanting, having a social. And I'm stuck here just daydreaming about Minecraft. And I apparently can't fucking play in it.
Why didn't you just start a world?
Because I wanted to play in our world! Open your eyes!
He's a menace! Spider-Man!
But no, it's been a really long time since I've been into a game like we are with this. Where I'm
Dude,
like, I'll be at work.
you're stupid about it, bro. You're
Me?
down bad. You're down bad.
You are too. You'll fucking text me randomly during the day and be like, are we crafting when I get home?
Yeah, I will.
Which means you were at work thinking about Minecraft.
What are you gonna do? You know? Can you cut a brother some slack?
I'll also be at work thinking about, like, I want to build that shit, or what can we do to improve? Plus, with it being like it's modded, so, and we're doing it as part of a mod pack. So there's some mods in there that I have no clue what they are. And it's like, fuck, there's like, we're scratching the surface, I think, and we've played quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like, we intend to play Minecraft after we record.
Correct. We're gonna grind it out.
Rise and grind, gamers.
Shut the fuck up. Gotta get that G Fuel.
Ew. Doritos and Mountain Dew, that's my G Fuel, baby.
Yeah. Did someone drink my Mountain Dew? Let me smell your breath.
I know it was you.
It's Mountain Lightning, Francis. He starts fucking losing it.
But no, that's what I've been thinking about. You got anything else you've been thinking about, or you want me to?
Because
I'll wrap that shit up right now.
All right, man. Let's wrap it up.
No. Do you have something? I don't want to cut you off.
Yeah, actually, if any of y'all shit your pants out there and you want to share it on the Simply One podcast,
honest to God, I like. Is this going to become a pants shitting podcast? Because we got Poo Night, and now we got you legitimately shitting at a kid.
I hope that's past the statute of limitations.
Like, is that a crime? Like, you could have shat on a kid. Like, that, like, dude, imagine if it had fucking been a fully formed shit.
Thank God for boxer briefs, you know?
No, what if it was diarrhea like you're known to have, and it just fucking comes out like coffee?
I got sensitive stomach. What do you want from me?
I got IBS. Oh my God. You would
like a fucking snake that spits venom.
Like, you would have to move schools. Like, you would have no friends if you were the motherfucker that shit on the first kid to fall asleep.
Nobody be having sleepovers with me.
Yeah, like, I'm having a sleepover. You want to come over? And they're like,
yeah.
I'm like, no, pass. I'm good, bub. And he's like, I didn't say he was going to be there. You sure as fuck didn't say he wasn't.
Oh my God.
You're your own urban legend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just the sleepover shit.
We'll have to think of a good name. If you think of a good name, let us know at simplyoneMailbag@gmail.com.
Fuck. No, honest to God, I like hearing shit in your pants stories.
Dude, it kills me. Poop will always be funny. Like, call me a Neanderthal, but like it just is.
Farts and poop are funny.
Yeah. Like,
I've got a very embarrassing shitting myself story that I'm not willing to share yet. You know it.
Yes, I do. I didn't think about it.
And so, like, I'm gonna need some engagement from people. Like, you gotta write me letter. I need a campaign. Be like, you know, spread the shit. You know,
I'm once again here asking for your donations.
Yeah, except it's just, Colin, tell us about shitting yourself.
I'm a pretty open book, man.
Why am I Poo Night? Because you're the one that shits your pants semi-regularly.
What do you want me from me? You know, like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I'm a simple man. I shit my pants.
It's a simple life.
Yeah, you know, I'm a gambling man. Every fart, I rip it. I don't care.
I like to test. I'm feeling lucky, you know.
Yeah, Roll the dice. All right, that's it. That's all I got. Enough about shitting.
It happens. Yeah.
So, yeah, shit happens. Yeah, so again, like, I really do want to thank you guys so much for support, especially on 10.5. I was really surprised at how quick, like, within an hour, we got several downloads. So again, if that's a good time for you guys, let me know. We can figure out a different way of lining it up.
Absolutely.
If you guys did enjoy this episode, be sure to give it a great review. 5 stars, subscribe, all that stuff apparently is a really big help on iTunes or wherever you listen to it. And tell your friends about it. T-Town, I just checked like before we recorded. You guys are no longer our number 1 listener. Columbus, Ohio is.
Whoa, wow.
So, like, what happened, baby? I thought we had something.
I think it's because we started talking shit.
Maybe. Or maybe we didn't talk enough. Like, T-Town, baby, come back. We love you.
Yeah. You can give it all to me. Baby, come back.
So tap a hand, spread the word again. Like, come on, baby. I want to see you in the number 1 spot.
Peer pressure in a town.
Yeah. Just, I am going to start taking out ads on Facebook targeted specifically at men ages 18 to 65 in Tappahannock, Virginia. That just says, listen to Simply Whelmed podcast, you pussy.
You pussy.
Whoa. No, in all honesty, like, T-Town, we got much love,
Yeah, for sure.
So, Chris, if people did want to get in touch with us, give us feedback, tell us what their favorite game was, because we listed a lot, but there's several more post-apocalyptic video games.
As well as if you have one that's not a zombie game that's really, really good, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, exactly. So how they hit us with that shit?
Yeah, if you want to hit us with that, of course, I'll say it like 5 times, I'll say it again. You can always send us an email at simplywhelmedmailbag@gmail.com. Our Twitter handle is whelmed_simply, and both our Facebook and Instagram is Simply Whelmed Podcast.
That's right. And I'm thinking about us getting a YouTube channel, not to like post videos really, but as just another route of posting the podcast.
Every single episode, I'll have to just make sure you smash that like button, turn on that bell.
Smash that like button. Yeah, ring that bell to get a notification.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, from what I'm reading, a lot of people do listen to their podcasts as YouTube videos. So maybe there's something there, and, it'd be a good place for us to post quick, unedited stuff, too, if we were just, like, want to react to the first episode of Obi-Wan and don't want to have a hour-long mini-sode when it ends.
That's true.
So, yeah, just whatever people want to see out of that, just let us know. If it's even a good idea, let us know. I just want some feedback on that.
Yeah.
Speaking of Obi-Wan, next week we're going to look at some Star Wars comics in preparation for the Obi-Wan series premiere. So Chris is going to read the new series, what was it called? The War of the Bounty Hunters?
Yeah.
And that's relatively new, like 2021 into now. I think you said it's only got like 5 issues. So, of course, you picked that one.
Bingo. No, I really want to see more of, like, other bounty hunters besides, like, Boba Fett. Like, I would love to see more about, like, Bosk.
You cut out. What'd you say?
I'd really like to see more of, like, Bosk.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so stuff like that. Just Cad Bane. Just different stuff like that. That's really what I'm wanting to see.
Yeah. I'm going to read the Darth Vader series 2020. There was another series of Darth Vader comics from 2016, I think, that was really good. And apparently this is also a very good comic. It's like 19 issues in, so I might not read all of them, but we'll see if I can. And if you guys want to read along with us, go ahead and read those, and you can send in your thoughts ahead of time. And we might be able to talk about what other people thought, as well as our thoughts on it. So we'd love to hear what you guys thought about them. So thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see y'all next Wednesday.
Bye.